Hey everybody, I'm Joe Nichols, and thank you. I want to say first of all, thank you very much for submitting your questions, and I can't wait to answer them all. And a very special thank you to Cody Allen as well for having me today. So let's get right in this thing. And Jackie from Newberry Park, California, wants to know: as you were growing up, who was your role model? I had my father was a role model for me. Merle Haggard was a role model. Always liked Keith Whitley. George Strait. I think career-wise, George Strait's probably got the best model of them all. You know, having 60 or so number ones and just a 30-year touring success. That's pretty awesome. So those are the guys I looked up to. Laura from Radnor, Pennsylvania wants to know: was singing always a dream of yours, and if not, when did it start? Yes, singing was always a dream of mine since I can remember, maybe 2 or 3 years old. First memories were of singing and wanting to be a singer. Chelsea from Appleton, Wisconsin asks, what excites you the most about the release of your new album, Crickets? Well, that it's a new album on a new label, and we have a very hot song, Sunny in 75, and it feels like the album is the best thing I've ever done. So those things combine for a cool feeling. And this one's from Ashley from Canton, Ohio. What is your favorite song on your new album? My favorite song on the new album, probably, well, at least the most personal thing to me on the new album is Footlights. It's just because I've been doing that song for years, and it was my dad's favorite Merle Haggard song, and there's a long history with that song, so I think we got a good cut on it too. Justin from Buffalo, New York says, did you like performing at the Taste of Country, and if you could, would you do it again? The obvious answer is yes and yes. I had a great time. New York is a fun place to play, especially up there in the mountains. It's a beautiful place. Suzanne from St. James, Florida says, are there any songs out there that you passed on that you wish you would have recorded? Yes and no. Some songs that I'm glad I passed on that were later on hits. There are some of those. Some of the ones I passed on are Some Beach, Blake Shelton. One I really regret passing on was a Brooks and Dunn song called It's Getting Better All the Time. I love that song. Amazing song. I'm an idiot for not cutting that. Ethan from Birmingham, Alabama. How hard was it to make a new album? Very hard. It took a year and 2 months. 14 months total to finish up this record. So a lot of time in the studio, a lot of song search process, a lot of things, a lot of energy, time, effort, love went into making this record. What is Kate is from Dallas, Texas. She asked, what's the craziest thing a fan has ever done? I'm not sure. I got some fans out there. I'm not sure what the craziest thing's ever done. I know that I had a fan throw a bra on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry. That was embarrassing for both of us. Henry from Hayward, California says, what's up? All right, what's up? If you had a chance to perform the national anthem at a professional football game, would you do it? What is your favorite NFL team? My favorite NFL teams are the Tennessee Titans and the Dallas Cowboys. And I've done a lot of anthems at professional football games, and always enjoy it every time. It's always top notch. The Cowboys, Titans, love Razorbacks. Any chance I get to perform the anthem, I take it. Bianca from Louisville, Kentucky says, what does your typical day consist of? My typical day is wake up as late as possible, get to the gym as early as possible, and get a nap as soon as possible after that. And then everything else is kind of bonus. Sometimes I do interviews early in the morning. Sometimes most days I do interviews in the morning. Sometimes I do other interviews, like print interviews, later in the day. But other than that, pretty much the show and the gym, sometimes golf. Emmy from, I think I'm saying this right, Emmy from Waukon, Iowa, says, if someone asked you when you were younger what you'd be doing now, would you have ever thought it would be a career in music? Yes, actually, I was very firm in my belief that the phone would be ringing at precisely 7 minutes into this thing. No, I think a long time ago, I as early as I can remember, I decided that I was going to either be a singer in country music or a baseball player. And I've always held firm to that, even when I had nothing to look forward to. Philip from Louisville, Illinois says, what was your first song you had recorded, and why was it the song you'd chosen at the time? The first single I had at radio was called The Impossible. And if you've heard The Impossible, the song is a beautifully written song. And rarely does a song come along that's a beautiful piece of art and made for radio. So The Impossible was both those. Blake from Clayton, North Carolina says, my dream is to do something in country music one day. What's your best piece of advice of fulfilling that? Blake, I would say this. No matter what you do, take your education as far as you can take it. Always stay in school as long as you can. Because I find myself sometimes nowadays in conversations and even contracts with people that are way higher educated than I am. And it sometimes takes a lot to catch up, and the terminology, just the methods of thinking sometimes are a little tough to grasp. And I think a college education probably would have helped that process a lot quicker. So educate yourself as much as you can. Lauren from Killington, Vermont says, would you ever consider getting into acting? Yes, I've considered it many times. I almost did a Broadway show. But yeah, I've considered acting if the right part came along. Hannah from Auburn, Alabama says, do you sleep with your socks on or off? I sleep with my socks off. I'm a very warm-blooded person, so. Brittany from Woodland, Pennsylvania says, you and your wife have known each other since you were 19. Did you always know that she was your soulmate? We don't like the term soulmates because we think it's kind of cornball. Some people do. We don't. But we knew there was a connection immediately. And from 19, we were best friends all those years, even though we weren't together. So, yeah, we kind of always knew that we would probably end up like this. I said it like it was a bad thing. We'd end up like this. We knew we'd end up like this. Amanda from Folly Beach, South Carolina says, do you have a certain place you go to think and get inspired when writing a new song? Not really. There's no place in particular. Sometimes it feels a little cramped to get into a 10 by 10 room over here with two other guys trying to come up with a unique idea. That feels a little forced, but inspiration can come anywhere. Shane from Houston, Texas says, when you're on vacation, do you like to party or relax or both? I like to relax. Vacation is my only time to sleep well and sleep consistently, so I like to just do nothing. Let's see. Anna from Poughkeepsie, New York says, what is your favorite restaurant? I have a few favorite restaurants. I love Barbara's here in Nashville. It's a little place out near Brentwood, Franklin area. That's a good one. Man, there's a barbecue place in Texas, in Tyler, Texas, called Stanley's. It is amazing. Best fish tacos, ribs, brisket. That's probably my favorite place to eat, Stanley's in Tyler, Texas. Jason from Nashville, Tennessee says, what are your favorite 3 albums of all time? Let's see. Hard to Beat, Redheaded Stranger. Hank Williams Jr.'s Greatest Hits, Volume 1. And I know I'm cheating here, but I'm going to say Merle Haggard's box set, Down Every Road. That's like 80 songs or something like that, but it's an amazing collection of songs. So there you go. Let's see. Ashley from Houston, Texas says, what is your favorite season? My favorite season is fall because the weather's nice. Football, feels like football in the air. Although I love baseball, I'm a baseball guy too. But it seems like fall is the kind of the winding down season, and I love kind of winding down. Cam from Barberville, Kentucky says, where is your favorite place to shop for clothes? In Nashville, Gary Allen's got a good place called The Label. It's a really good place. And in Tyler, where I live, there's a place called Harley's that actually has some good selections and stuff. So that and Dollar General. Dustin from Knoxville, Tennessee says, do any of your family members go on tour with you? Dustin, no. Sometimes my wife does, and sometimes my daughters do, but rarely. Kelly from Napa, California says, what is the best and worst thing about being on tour? The best thing about being on tour is getting to play in a new city every day, getting to meet new fans with new reactions to new music every day. So that feels good, fresh every day. The worst thing about being on tour is time away from my family. I feel like I'm away from them all the time, so that kind of hurts. Kelly from Jackson, Michigan says, so far, what has been your favorite movie of 2013? The Conjuring was pretty good. So I'll go with The Conjuring. And We're the Millers. I laughed pretty hard at that. I didn't think I'd like that movie at all, but it's hilarious to me. Crude, but hilarious. I'm a crude guy. Carly from Portsmouth, Virginia says, in what city do you think your fans are most supportive? It's hard to say. I mean, I got a lot of fans, a lot of places, and I've got a lot of cities that I'm very fond of because of the fans. So I can't really, I don't know. I answered a question I have no idea the answer of. Amanda from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania says, what do you like to do in your spare time? Well, if you listen to the rest of this thing, you'll know that I love to sleep. That's what I love to do in my spare time. Sleep. I like to play a little golf. Jess from Chicago, Illinois says, what are your favorite TV shows? The Mentalist is one. Love The Mentalist. Homeland. Fantastic show. Love that show. Breaking Bad. Of course, that's over now. Mad Men. Walking Dead. Those are all my favorites. Sandra from Hemet, California. Not sure how to pronounce that. What was the first thing you bought with the money from your first hit song? Well, first hits don't really make you a whole lot of money. It's like the fifth or sixth hit that kind of eventually makes you money. At your first hit, you're still kind of getting out of debt. But I think the first thing I bought was my own apartment. I think I lived with a friend of mine actually in Nashville until I had my first hit, and then I actually went out and got to pay rent somewhere I could afford to pay rent. That was a pretty awesome day. Taylor from Miami, Florida says, if you weren't in a band, what career do you think you would enjoy doing? I would enjoy playing baseball. I'm not sure if I'd have a career in it though. If I weren't in a band, I think I'd enjoy music business still. I think I'd probably be in the A&R world of the music business because I enjoy being around music. I love listening to new things and getting to know artists and their music. So I'm a fan of music. So I'd probably be involved somehow in the record business. Jake from Long Island, New York says, who would you love to do a duet with? Patty Griffin. To me, for my money, I would say somebody like Patty Griffin. Leanne Womack, one of my favorite singers of all time. Patty Loveless is another one. Some of those. Emmylou Harris would be a dream duet with me. For me. Devon from Helena, Montana says, Team iPhone or Team Android? I'm neither one. I have an iPhone, but I don't get into that stuff. That doesn't really appeal to me. I have an iPhone. I don't get the loyalty thing. It's just a good phone, but if somebody comes out with something better, I'll buy that. I don't feel hurt when somebody puts that. Anyway, Gabrielle from Garden City, New York says, do you think shows like American Idol and The Voice produce raw talent, or do they give false hope? Both. Like American Idol and The Voice are great for what they are. they're a talent show. And sometimes with talent shows, when you have instant success, you don't actually necessarily learn a lot about what goes on in the business and what to be aware of, what to watch out for. So a person like Carrie Underwood that becomes hugely successful immediately and maintains it is probably more the exception rather than the rule, because there's a lot of things you have to learn before you have music available to the public that I think are important, that are vital. So it's a catch-22. I mean, it's good that we can find talent out there everywhere immediately, but the bad thing is sometimes there's a lot to look out for. Bay from White Marsh, Pennsylvania, what is your overall goal for your music career? Just to have a music career, honestly, just to have a music career the rest of my life. I've always said that I want to do this until I die, and I do want to do this until I'm done. And if I can tour until I'm 70 years old, which I fully plan on doing unless I get mega rich, which I will not tour then, then I think I won. That's what I always want to do. Sam from Palm Coast, Florida says, what is your favorite food? I love barbecue, and barbecue. And not necessarily in that order. I love barbecue ribs, man. Brisket. Oh my God. Cannot beat that. Fish tacos too. Stanley's. Allie from Gloucester. I think I'm saying this right. Gloucester County, New Jersey. What's the most difficult thing about recording an album? Accepting failure is the most difficult thing about recording an album, because there's a lot of times in the studio you want everything to be perfect, and sometimes those things that aren't perfect nag you to death, and my mind can eat me alive on things that don't work out in the studio well. So accepting that not everything is going to be magical in the studio is the hardest thing. Paige from Kansas City, Michigan says, how do you handle mistakes during a performance? You gotta laugh, just like you would a mistake in anything else in your life. You have to laugh. It's a mistake. We're all human. We do it all the time, every day. Nobody's perfect. All the cliches, but I laugh. I laugh throughout the day, and if I don't laugh, I go nuts. And in a performance, if I don't laugh, it even makes the mistake even more awkward. So we laugh it off. Rita from Atlanta, Georgia says, what is your favorite childhood memory? Being on the road with my dad. He was a truck driver. I loved going on over-the-road trips with him. I remember a particular trip we took to Texas where we just talked the whole time. It seemed like we were out for 3 or 4 days. And it was during a summer, and I was maybe 10 years old. And we just talked. I got to know my dad. I think I got to know my dad on that trip. Dalhart, Texas. I remember that town. It's a little bitty town in Texas that nobody's probably ever heard of, but that's why I remember that town, is because this is a big moment in my life. Heather from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina says, where has been your favorite, I'm not sure if that's worded right, but where's your favorite venue to perform at, basically? I love Billy Bob's. Billy Bob's in Fort Worth, Texas, a fun place to play. Always a fun place to play. Melody from Richmond, Virginia says, what has been your favorite experience thus far? Been a lot of them. I always enjoyed my performances on the Grand Ole Opry. I thought that was a big deal. Growing up, a big fan of the Grand Ole Opry. But my dad getting to see me on the Grand Ole Opry, that was a big deal. So I think we got them all. So I want to say thank you to everybody for submitting all these questions, and a big thank you to Cody Allen again for putting this thing on. I appreciate it. My name is Joe Nichols again. Thank you very much.